right. Hanging out on the show. I am currently working on some miniatures, but I'm down to chat about whatever. So let me put the thing in there in case one of the bros happens to show up. It'll be a second before this even gets announced on YouTube, but la 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 na 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 devise. Okay, so let me see here. I'm working on my trench ghost army, and I got to admit, I'm really liking it. Really liking it. I know they're heretics and they're the bad guys and all that, guys, but something about it is just kind of cool. You know, the whole trap between heaven and hell, and now they're just basically, you know what they are. I think the thing is, it's because they remind me of one of my favorite D&D monsters of all time. Hey, Big Vic. Well, I mean, you said I was a degenerate, right?
You're never a degenerate. A reprobate? Yes.
Oh, reprobate. Yeah. Far right. I think, according to like probably 80% of people who play role-playing games, I would be considered far right. What is the black and yellow rocket for? Hopefully one day in my life, I will get to play Traveler 2300, and this will be the rocket. It breaks down into 11 levels. It's set up like this, so you know actual physics. So you get gravity by accelerating and then decelerating. It's got like moving lifts between levels and stuff. I mean, this thing is awesome. I love it. Like I'll show you a little bit. Let's see if I can pop the top here. This is the you can see how there's a functioning airlock there on the floor, and then you've got a double airlock right here, and it functions. These doors come up, and then if you look on the walls, it's spacesuits. Because I mean, this is the airlock leading out. So if a starship were to connect an umbilical to this, it would be here. And then this bit is extra tricky. You see how you got that hole there? Stick 2 fingers in. Dirty minds. And I haven't even started painting this, but it's the bridge. See, you got all your grav couches and stuff. So, the problem is we've got this thing going where me and another DM are running games, and like he runs one weekend, I'll run mine the next weekend. And right now, no one's really showed a lot of interest in Traveler. They have, however, showed a lot of interest in Talislanta. And I mean, I will never, ever, ever miss an opportunity to run or play Talislanta. That will never happen, no matter what, you know? So even though I've got this badass rocket that, 3D printed and everything like that, yeah, I'll be running Talislanta. And I mean, if you think the rocket's cool, which I agree, it's pretty cool. Took like forever.
Traveler.
To get done. Check this out.
We got Traveler at Dave Con.
Like. Yeah, I know you do. You keep tempting me. This isn't all the characters for Talislanta, but one of the characters played by my wife, which is this green-skinned warrior woman right here in the middle, because she's a cerulean sword mage. One of her skills is building and piloting airships. So this is the group's airship for Talislanta. And this guy right here with the sword in one hand and like the magic in the other hand. That's Hungar's character. I haven't finished painting yet. He is a mage. What's it called? Outlaw, maybe. Like his character is basically a mage thief, is what he is. Whereas her character's a mage fighter. Another person's playing an actual, just straight up mage. We've got two people playing cat people, which are called Jaka in Tauslanta. Very, very. But anyone who's been around my channel for any length of time knows I am a Tauslanta fanboy. Always have been. It's not going away, guys. I love Tauslanta. I think it is the most underrated, well, definitely high fantasy role-playing game of all time. I mean, you can't compare it to D&D because D&D is kind of, you can play Captain Harlock. That was a pretty good movie, except there must be more to it because the bit I watched, it was like, it seemed like, it's kind of like that one anime, The Gate. I watched the season and then that was it. And I was like, okay, now what? What happened then? But anyway, I drug myself way off track there. The whole, getting to play Tauslanta is, and that's the thing. I often say this to 5e players, when they're like, well, I want to play 5e because in 5e I can play an Aarakocra or I can play a Tabaxi and I'm all like, in Tauslanta, which has been around since like 1984, there's 150 playable archetypes. And only about half of them are human. Some of the shit you can play in that game is like, still no elves, still no orcs, no dwarves. They got a creature called a gnome kin. It's not a gnome, but it does live underground. And when they come above ground, they have to wear crystal cusps over their eyes or they're blind. Because one of the players, of course, is playing a gnome kin warrior. And they're actually really good to be warriors because even though they're a little short, they're like 4 feet tall, their bones and muscle density are like twice as much as a human. So, they're, that saying how so-and-so's built different. Well, these damn gnomes is built different. You know what I'm saying? And then, of course, I am working on my Trench Crusade Heretic Army, which is trench ghosts. Trench ghosts are basically heretics, or sometimes not heretics, who die fighting in the trenches. And if they're heretics and they die within a certain distance of a holy relic, then their soul cannot go to hell. But of course, heaven isn't going to take them either, right? So they basically become whites. Their bodies rot away into skeletal forms and they sink into the mud and the blood of the trench and they lay there until something living comes within a certain distance and then they attack. And their whole deal is, even though they were heretics and are still kind of heretics, they still will attack heretics. You know what I mean? They're like the no F's given branch of the bad guys because they attack anybody. It doesn't matter. Whoever you are, you come near them, you're getting it. But, yep, that's it. The no elves game, which is, you could argue that they say no elves, but literally every other humanoid race in the game has pointed ears. So it's like, what they mean is no Tolkien style or D&D style elves. There's like one group that looks just like Drow. They got ebon black skin and snow white hair, the whole 9 yards, pointed ears. They look just like the Drow, but they have kind of a group mind, and they're all like telepaths and empaths and whatever. So that changes things up. Oh, I gotta get up for a second. I just got a message saying that some deliveries have happened. I'll be right back, guys. Leave the king of the reprobates up here.
All right, James has left. Anybody want to say anything derogatory about him? I'm joking. Oh God, what are we doing today? Anybody? Anybody? I'm looking at the chat over on the right hand side here. Let's see here. Everybody see that Gary or Ernie Gygax is finally leaving
what's
the
going on
hospital
out here?
and headed home.
Nah, 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 nah.
We're still hoping he is coming to DaveCon, of course. He says he is, but that's all medically. We have to medically make sure that's going to happen. But other than that, I don't know what else is going on. You know, life's sort of rolling on. Let's see here. Anybody watching anything good on TV? How about that? The subject. Any good movies? Sci-fi, fantasy related. Something to talk about here. I recently
give them something to talk about.
I just got done recently watching the complete series Miss Scarlet on PBS. If you've ever seen that, which was quite different.
I just had a thought, Vic.
Uh oh.
There is one person I have not talked to about going with me to DaveCon.
Who is that?
My wife.
Well, if your wife comes, I'm gonna send her to some places like the Mall of America and places like that. If she likes music, we can send her to places like the Dakota Cafe or West or the where Prince played down in downtown Minneapolis, the 7th Street.
No, she's a role player. She's a role player.
Bring her.
Hello.
Yeah. We actually kind of met at a D&D game. How you doing, Les?
Oh, good.
Good. I had to. I ran out of. Sorry if you hear the popping. I ran out of hot glue. So I've been waiting for this hot glue. You know how it is when you're like you're in the
what
zone.
I need to do? Somebody here might be able to help me. I'm looking for a long abandoned city map, like a really long abandoned city map, something like from the 5th century. It's covered by dirt and stuff like that. And I don't know if anybody's got a resource where they would get something like that, but that's what I'm looking for.
Shouldn't be hard for you to get.
Yeah.
Like go online, find one, print it out, and then dip it in some tea.
Yeah, I got it. My players are going into the Sus Forest, and they're going to run into an abandoned city full of fun. What's that? More filament?
This is for my hot glue gun, baby.
Oh my God!
That's right. I hate changing glue sticks because of how lazy I am, so I buy them in 5-foot cords.
Hey, you got to do
that
it
way. When I load my wife for Christmas, she bought me this badass glue gun that's like, it's got a dock you set it in that gets it hot and everything. But when you need to, you can pop it right out of the dock and use it for a long time before you got to put it in the charger. So, yep. Okay, this is.
I finally got my new SSD in.
Nice. You've been waiting for that.
Yeah, but I can't seem to get it to act as a boot drive for I don't know what reason.
Oh, here I hear you said SSD, and I'm like, you got a Superstar Destroyer from Legos or something?
No,
I've
I did
seen
get a
those.
real Superstar Destroyer, but not a Lego one.
Yeah, I was thinking if I ever put up a cafe, like for a coffee cafe game shop, I would hang like a whole bunch of ships
Got to drive the grandkids.
like
Get your breakfast. Good to
Star
see you,
Trek
bro.
and
I hope
Birds of
that if you do make
Prey.
that cafe, you get a parking spot for my SSD.
There you go. My Star Wars models, just hang them all from the ceiling. Jesus, James went to Michael's and went nuts. Or is that all Amazon?
uh, yeah.
The Jungle website?
Yep. I go through so much of this because this is the primary thing I base my miniatures in
Oh,
is the European mud. Like all of my moderns, like my modern Russians and US guys, they're all, I mean, I put the mud down and then I put some grass and some tufts,
yeah.
because I've had this dream forever of one day playing Twilight 2000. So like there's 3 boxes up here that are full of 156 scale modern, and by modern I mean 80s to now military equipment. So Humvees, BRDMs. I mean, I've got like a company, and I've got tons of miniatures. Like right here, I think these guys are magnetized. Let's look. I actually started collecting Russians. It's funny because Hungar and I was playing Zona Alpha, and Zona Alpha is based on the book Roadside Picnic, which is what they based the Stalker game on. So basically, aliens or something f up all of Russia and part of Russia or something, and people called zoners go into the zone where everything's all effed up to try and recover anything of value, right? But see, here I've got 11 Russians in relatively modern gear. I could say they're Ukrainians too, because honestly, they all use the same weapons. Thank goodness that they're going to get into that. Not that I want to talk about politics, but thank goodness that all sides have agreed to talk it out, because I'm tired of it. Like I said, as an Orthodox Christian, having all these young Orthodox men dying all the time, that's just not something I want to be a thing. So, yeah, this is the best thing ever. Oh, plus, I don't know if you guys know it, but I pasted it. And I know you're not super religious or anything, so I apologize, Vic. But it turns out that bunch that Elon Musk went after and basically fired them all or some shit for sending money all over the place. Yeah. They were literally financing groups in Ukraine that were created specifically to undermine and destroy the Orthodox Church.
Not surprised about that.
So U.S. tax dollars, not mine specifically, but people's, were being sent to a foreign country to undermine their religion.
Probably some of yours.
Could be. I don't know. Well, no, I don't pay taxes, guy. Every year they want me to pay taxes, and instead my wife and I donate to our IRAs, and then they end up having to give us like a couple $100 because if you donate to your own retirement thing, then you can deduct that from your taxes. Otherwise, man, they'd be raking me over the coals. I'd be paying.
Yeah, it's called the for an IRA, it's called the what do they call it? The catch up. You can donate up to 21 grand a year or something like that. If after a certain age, you can just pour money into it. So,
yep, and then you get to deduct that money.
Yep,
which means that the Uncle Sam ain't getting shit. for me.
Yeah, I also learned some other things about real estate the other day. There was a guy on. I was reading some information about a certain type of trust that you set up that you can, if you have $1 million piece of property and this trust pays you $50,000 and you die, that whole $1 million piece of property can go into the trust and you don't pay any taxes on it. So it was I gotta look it back up again, but it was a neat way of keeping to pass down your property, James. Like if you've got property up in Kentucky, you can pass it on to your daughters and stuff like that, but keep it always in the family. So
Right. That's kind of the thing is I went and seen a notary and got a thing done where the property can never be sold.
right.
You know, it can only be inherited by someone who is a relative of mine.
Right, and this is and that's sort of what I'm going to do. I'm gonna put all my property inside my trust, and then I'm going to throw enough money in an account that it accumulates interest and stuff like that, so that oh gee, you got to pay property taxes. It's automatically paid. So it's like nope, sorry kids, you can't sell any other property. You can't do anything to other property per se, but it's you guys can live there all you want and do things, but it can never be sold out from underneath the trust. So
Well, you know what I say? Taxation is theft.
Yep.
And taxing someone's kids for inheritance, that's like triple theft, because it's like, one, when the property was bought, taxes were paid. And then every year I pay property taxes on the property. And then when I die, in order for someone in my family to get the property, more taxes have to be paid.
right.
It's like, how many times are you going to tax me on this? I mean,
Well,
I like roads and shit. Don't get me wrong. And I'm a fan of having a good army, but there comes a point where you just like,
Sadly, most of the money's not going to those things.
Well, that's why I'm going for the agricultural exemption, and I'm going to make sure inside my will that they're in the trust that it can never come out of an agricultural type thing. So if let's say one of the other kids wants to build another house on the property, unless it said no, it's primary agricultural, over 50% of the property has to stay wide open and used for agriculture. So
I might have thought about doing something like that, but the reality is my property taxes, because the property is not built up.
Yeah.
There's like one house on it, but the rest of the property is straight up wilderness, right? So my taxes are not that bad. Well, I mean, I still get a case of the ass every year when the government tells me I have to pay them again for something I already own. That not only I, but my great grandparents owned, 100 plus years ago. And, my family's still paying for it. It's like, okay, how long? That I think if I could talk to someone in government, that would be a thing I would ask. Like, how long do I got to keep paying you for the same piece of property? How long?
Definitely. I mean, that's what they want. You're a peasant.
Well, here's the thing. When my family got that property, the United States didn't exist.
I know.
Because it was literally 1740.
I know.
So it's like, should I be able to declare myself a crown colony? Because I don't know. I mean, I know my relatives fought for the the good guys in that one, but I mean, at this point, no, never mind. England's a lost cause. I'd never want to be part of that shit show.
Yep.
That they got going on over there. I mean, like, it's like I actually do like the old geek and all that, but it's like these people, like I'm always calling Grim Jim a retard on X. because he'll post something talking about fascism in America. And it's like, asshole, people in your country are being thrown in prison for offending people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But you want to say that something we're doing is fascismo, you know? And
Hey,
it's like,
James, it never
it's
makes
like,
sense.
dude.
It never did. You know, I've been called a Russian bot for saying that we should keep the Second Amendment.
Grim Jim is a huge disappointment to me. I used to totally have his back when it come to like his free speech absolutism until he showed his true colors, and his true colors are he don't believe in free speech.
Of course.
Well, hold on. There's free speech, and I believe in it totally. But you cannot yell fire in a theater, and you know what I mean.
Well, that's the argument people make.
Unjustly, though. I mean,
the argument he made is that you can't talk shit about the coof, and you have to stay home, and you better wear a mask, otherwise you're killing people's grandmas. And that's why he stopped being buddies with frickin' the pundit.
Whatever. That's bullshit. You know
But
what I
it's
mean?
what happened. I was there. I know.
I know, but we've all got our thing about free speech. That was the topic last night on Dragons and Diversity. It wasn't it. It was RP. What was the thing they were talking about? The it wasn't N World. It was the other one. RPG Newsnet or something like that. They've banned all the. I'll look it up here really quick. They banned a whole bunch of shit. Any talking about Donald Trump whatsoever, you will get permanently banned from their site.
Well, that depends, though. If that means you're not allowed to just sit on the site and talk shit, at least then it's fair, you know? You see what I'm saying? It's like
RPG
talking positive about him, but if you can't talk negative about him, then basically it's no politics. And if I were going to run a big game site, I would probably make a rule where it would be like, look, we talk about games.
That'd be fair.
Maybe I'd make like one.
If you're gonna ban
somewhere, that would be the political channel.
I'm
like,
all for free speech like that. But if you're gonna ban something political, ban all political talk.
Yeah, I don't want to hear. Saying if they're banning all of it, it's okay.
Right.
If they're not doing that,
targeting Trump supporters, then they're douchebags.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is probably what they're doing. Let's be honest.
I have a real problem with people that sit there and just I'm going to ban you because I went back in your history and I found 10 years ago that Left said something about redheads that he thinks they should all be murdered. So I think Left should be permanently banned.
Why would I say that? I'm redheaded.
I'm making a joke, Left.
I know. That makes sense though, because if I were redheaded, I'd want to die too.
Oh, Left. I used it because I knew you were.
I like redheads.
Yeah, I know. I used it because you were a redhead.
Now, Left.
No, even on women, I like women with red hair. They're usually hot, like the natural red hair.
Yeah, I like redheads too. They are hot. They are hot underneath the collar, hot underneath.
I'll tell you what. I married 2 of them. We're divorced. There's probably a reason. Historical doppelganger. Just remember this: your country might be going through some shit right now, but always be proud of your ancestors, because your country was one of the truly great empires and civilizations in the whole world. It's just there's some shit going on right now.
Historical. If you're living in England right now, expect a revolt. Sort of like
James. I know your issue.
Having.
You forgot. The harder the woman, the crazier they are.
Hold on, let Vic finish, and then
I'm sorry.
I expect Keir Starmer to be run out of office fairly quickly. There's going to be a revolt, and I mean, just from his policies alone, and you've got, and I've been reading up about stuff. I really think that there's going to be a sea change, sort of like the United States, where we're now shipping off people to Guantanamo Bay because they are part of terrorist organizations that have slipped in the United States. And, we're getting rid of them quick. And it's not, I mean, we just did a repatriation flight to India the other day, 200 something people on a military plane out of here.
Well, but what he said is the problem is lefty professors and scumbags have convinced your average Welsh or Briton that they're horrible, they're evil, they were colonizers and terrible people, and it's simply not true.
Right.
The reality is, like, Indians might want to talk shit about the Raj, but that thin red line of British troops brought the light of civilization to so many ignorant parts of the world where they were still eating each other and burning their wives alive. Sete, it's called, or sate. I mean, so the British people, the only thing they have to be ashamed of is that they got their asses whipped by the colonies. But to be honest, we're mostly British too. So
right.
It all works out. So yeah, that is the problem with Britain, is their lack of pride and all the awesome shit they've done. And they've done some awesome shit. I mean, Queen Victoria, some people can hate on her if they want, but the fact of the matter is they named an era after this person.
Yep.
He was so badass.
And here's another thing. I would like to say something about the British monarchy. Prince Charles is a wimp. I'm King Charles, or whatever he is. He is a wimp. He is. If he would stand up to the government and say something to Starmer and the rest of them and say shit's unacceptable, a lot of the British people would turn and burn down the current government really quick.
I think they would, but you have to remember that they convinced themselves to be against themselves. It's really sad.
Well,
it's a really sad thing.
And how much is the British? And I want to know
over here too, though.
And I want to know how much the British government is doing what we did over here in the United States. How much money is the British social services pouring into immigrant relocation to the Britain there and funding these illegal immigrants and stuff like that? I would be righteously pissed off if my taxes went up again and again and again because of this. I would be like, load them on a plane and send them back. If they don't want to go willingly, then it's push them out the back end of a plane in a parachute. You know what I mean?
But again, the problem, as he said, is that so many young British people, especially men, have been taught by their school teachers to hate themselves, to hate the empire. The U.S. is just barely mostly. Well, I mean, okay, Norman is German too, so whatever.
Yeah.
We can argue semantic, but it is true that I am a huge percentage Scandinavian. So, but that makes sense. It was the Swedes, etc., that settled Russia. The Kievan Rus were all Swedes. So, whatever. It makes sense. But regardless, my point is, wherever you're from, never let other people convince you that you suck, because that's just the worst thing you can do.
I think another thing that's really bad is them going, oh, we'll just print all this stuff in government forms in Pakistani, or we'll print this stuff in Arabic and this and that. No. They didn't have that like in the 1920s, 30s when my grandparents came over. It was, you're Italian, you're going to, my grandparents were Italian, you're going to learn English. And that's all there is to it.
That was just how it was. It was like, I guarantee you, when my ancestors showed up in the 1700s, there was no place to go to get welfare.
Oh no, it was
They
all run by
landed
the
at
British.
the British Crown colony of Virginia at Williamsburg, and they immediately loaded whatever shit they had up and went across the mountains into Kentucky and stayed there for what is it now? 300 plus years? You know, there was no one to help them.
My
If the
grandparents-
Indians tried to kill them, they just had to fight them back. I mean, it
even
was what
my
it was.
grandparents had to, you know, rely on the Italian American Society here in Minneapolis, and then they paid
Yeah, I
the
was gonna
Italian
say, you're
American
Italian,
Society
right?
back. They paid the Italian American Society back, and they learned English. You know what
Well,
I mean?
I mean, your people probably came through like Ellis Island and
Well,
had their
all
names
of them came
screwed
through
up.
Ellis. All of them came through Ellis, except for one of my grandfathers who snuck in through Canada. So,
and had their names all screwed up because when my great grandmother on my stepdad's side came to America, her name was Solyavitsin. And then by the time she got through Ellis Islands, it was Sanders.
yeah,
It was like, wait, what? Like, but
mine was screwed up too in the documents. When we were applying for dual citizenship, we were looking at it going, how did they get that out of this?
I just think some of the British guys, well, they were American, but they were Anglophiles. They looked at some of those non-Anglophile names and they're just like, nah,
Yeah.
we're not even going to try. No one
Yeah.
will ever be able to pronounce this shit. Welcome to New York. You're no longer Vincenzio, whatever. Your name is Vincent. Get the fuck out.
Mr. Maroney, you are now Mr. Murphy. Have a good day.
Have a good day. Catch you later. Welcome to New York. It's a good
Yeah.
place, maybe the best place ever.
You are
If
now
work hard,
Mr.
who
Miller.
knows? You know, if you work hard, who knows, you could invent Italian food that people will think is Italian food for like ever, but in reality, it was created in New York.
Yeah.
Because Italians were super poor in Italy, but in New York, they could get a decent job and buy tons of meat and open restaurants. And the next thing you know, you had all these freaking bistros opening up and they were making all this freaking delicious food. And it was all happening in New York, in Little Italy. It's the same thing with Chinese food or Mexican food. Like if you go to Mexico and you order a burrito and you think there's going to be cheese or sour cream on it,
Yeah.
boy, do I got some news for you.
Yeah, you're wrong.
You are wrong. It's going to have meat, cilantro, lime juice, onion. That's it. And you'll get 3 of them. And they'll be this big.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I have an uncle that lives in Saltillo, Mexico. So he's an American that actually immigrated to
Well,
Mexico.
I was reading an article about that too the other day about where you can live for under $1,500 a month outside the United States. And it was a lot of Southeastern Asian countries, Mexico, stuff like that. And
Costa Rica.
coast anywhere down in South America, you can basically live for under $1,500 a month and live well, you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
a lot of retirees take their retirements to Costa Rica.
Yep.
Because they can set themselves up. They're still kind of close to America. It doesn't cost that much. The
you can get a
people are
flight
nice.
back. You can get a flight back to the States for $100 something out of Costa Rica. So
German almost become the language of the U.S. officially. Well, I mean, there was a time when the whole Northeast was speaking Dutch, German.
Yeah.
So, you know, back when New York was New Amsterdam. So, yeah.
yeah, I mean,
And the Pennsylvania Dutch are still speaking their bastardized version of German to this day.
and the Amish and the
Yeah.
Hittites and
Yeah.
you know, I mean,
Whereas my people in Kentucky, we just make up words. Actually, it's not that we make up words, it's that we keep using words that literally everyone else in the world stopped using like 300 years ago. And we're like, oh no, we're still going to say it. Because there was that movie, I don't know if you ever saw it, but The Songcatcher. And she went way up in the mountains of Appalachia, but I think it was like North Carolina. and she was listening to people sing and talk, and she was like, what in the hell kind of, and then it turned out, because she was a professor, that they were speaking the exact same language as Elizabethan English.
Well,
Because they'd been so isolated, the language never drifted. You know what I mean?
yeah.
They were talking like Shakespearean time. Whereas, like in New York, you throw some Italian in there, some Yiddish, some Irish, some Spanish, whatever in there, and the language is going to shift.
Oh yeah, it drifts everywhere. I mean, look at down in Louisiana. They got the French Creole,
French, Spanish, African.
Yeah.
I mean, so you got all kinds of stuff going on there. Amish power bars up to 14 dozen eggs. Hey, I'll take 14 dozen eggs. Actually, that's what I ate for breakfast, because I had leftover Chinese for like breakfast. So for dinner, I had eggs.
Well,
because I was like, so I did it backwards.
Hey, you know what? If you can't have breakfast for dinner, then you know what the hell.
That's right.
Living life.
If I can't have breakfast for dinner, I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
Right.
To quote Professor Farnsworth, who is, in my opinion, the best character from that whole TV show. I love it too when he's like, "I'm your great 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 uncle. Can I have some money?" And he, "Oh Lord, no," or "Oh my, no," because he's just like.
How about the time where he tried to replace everyone?
Oh yeah. Well, he replaced everyone with them. That was the thing when they're like, well, we're going to need job chips. Where will we get job chips? And he's like, don't worry, I've got some laying around here. And
no, I was talking about whenever he sent them on a mission and they came back and there's like, oh, I need some new people. Oh, wait, come back later. I might need you later.
Yeah. Because, you know,
he keeps
everyone that worked for him kept getting killed.
Yes. So
he'd just be like,
here's a good one for you. Safari operator sued after New Jersey woman is mauled to death by a hippo. Well, God damn it, you're in their territory. You should know this shit. You know what I mean?
I agree.
If I was a judge, I'd throw that suit out as fast as it landed on my desk. It'd be like, really? Here you go. I'm throwing it out. Why are you throwing it out? You were in their territory. You should have known better. You know, look, James went nuts at Amazon. What'd you spend? $300?
No, I just got some glue and stuff.
Yeah.
No, I needed some glue. You're
gonna move back to Kentucky. You know what your wife's gonna do? She's gonna make you a little garage out there, about 20 by 20, and it's gonna have your game table, and all around the walls, you're gonna have all your stuff up against the walls.
You say that, and you know what? You're not wrong. My wife has always said that if we ever build our own place, she wants to do a finished basement, and I will be the basement dwelling
troll.
Yeah, troll. That's just down there, just tearing shit up, and she won't care because she won't see it.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said you have a completely separate, like steel building that's 20 by 30, and you got all your stuff in there. You can do all your projects out there. She'll just have a little microphone or a little thing. You press the button. James, it's time for dinner.
Well, you guys may or may not be surprised to know she does not call me James ever. She calls me Bear.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
I am her bear. Which is why when I very first met Bear, I was like, like my dog's name is Bear, but we didn't name him. The Russian woman we got him from did. And her nickname for me is Bear. And I have a bear statue right there. And I have a sign up there that says, do not wake the bear. Yeah, that's my thing. Old Dr. Farnsworth. I should probably help them. but I am
Not
in my
doctor,
pajamas.
professor.
Yeah.
Professor Farnsworth, not doctor.
Yeah, Professor Farnsworth. Well, he was a doctor, though. He had a doctorate.
Fair, but they call him professor.
But they did call him the professor, but it don't matter. He did have a doctorate, so fair's fair. Yeah, he made the thing where you could just smell random things across the universe for some reason.
Smelloscope.
Yeah. You are, well, you do got the golden hair too, and you are small. She's like, I feel like Goldilocks. I'm surrounded by bears. And I'm like, well, she's got the hair and the size for it. So,
yeah, short, blonde, probably knows how to wield a knife pretty well.
Nope, but really good with a pistol.
Yeah, there you go.
And yeah, short, blonde, green eyes.
All trouble.
Danish, Viking. But the Danes were the Vikings that didn't kill you. They just set you up on like a tax plan. You know, they'd be like, look, here's how it's going to work. You're going to pay us X amount of money or we're sending in the Norwegians. And if we send the Norwegians, we can't be held responsible for what the Norwegians do because you know how Norwegians are. And the British were like, well, F that shit. We'll pay the Dane Guild. You know, we don't want to mess with these Norwegians because they don't sound like a lot of fun at all. And then the Swedes were the Vikings that were guaranteed to betray whichever other Vikings they were working with. Like no matter what. And pretty much any battle, the Swedes would always either run or switch sides or pull some shit. But
well, look at there. James, have you ever had In-N-Out Burger before?
No, I have not, sir.
No, that is one of the true things you got to taste when you go out to California. Got to have an In-N-Out Burger.
I have been to California one time in my life, and we got off of the military plane, and they put us on the military bus, and they drove us out in the middle of the military desert where we spent a month playing laser tag. Hey, Shadow, what is up, my friend? Because, like, there's the fort in California where all of the vehicles are mocked up to look like Soviet vehicles.
I might have to move to Tennessee now.
In-N-Out
Burger is moving. In-N-Out Burger is going to Tennessee. I cannot believe it.
The thing that's awesome about Tennessee too is there's no state income tax.
Well, that is something awesome. Like I told my girlfriend and some other people, I said I'd move to Tennessee if my dad died in Florida and stuff, and people started
Central and Eastern Tennessee is beautiful. Just don't move to Memphis.
Oh, I've lived in Memphis for 6 months. I know what Memphis is all about.
Yeah, stay out of Memphis. You'll be fine.
I would move to somewhere just south of Nashville. I think that's pretty country down there. So
I remember that one guy who sung the song "Walking in Memphis," and I'm always thinking, if he sung that song nowadays, he'd be singing about getting robbed, maybe even shot. You know, because it's not like it used to be.
Memphis, from when I was there in the late 80s till now, has gotten a whole lot worse. I mean, used to be able to go down by Elvis Presley's house at the Graceland, and it was okay. But now, I mean, a block away, it's like, nah. When you see bars on every window of every business, forget it. You know?
Yeah, that's when it's time to be like, no. This is getting a little bit too real, you know? Like, I never liked the real world, and I certainly don't want to be on an episode of it. Or cop. Or, you know what? You can tell which cities not to go to by watching the first 48.
Oh, yeah.
If the city that you're thinking about going to is on the first 48, like all the time, don't go there. And one of the cities that's on there like all the time, Louisville. Louisville, Kentucky is on the first 48 like a dozen damn times.
I've never saw the allure of any of the cities that they have on the first 48. Louisville, Tulsa, Mobile. You know what I mean? It's like, nah, Atlanta. I personally can't stand Atlanta.
No, I hate even driving through it.
Oh,
but
I avoid Atlanta like the plague.
Yep. We had to drive through it last time I was coming home from Kentucky, and it was just the absolute worst you can imagine.
Oh, they got those HOV lanes, and I'm just like, I make sure I got a second person with me. I'm like, I'm always slammed over in the HOV lane, and I don't even stop from Buckhead all the way through south of there somewhere. I'll go 30 miles south, and I'll finally pull over and get gasoline or something. Like, nope.
Well, here's the thing too. It's always sucked. Yeah. It's not new that Atlanta sucks. When I was a little kid doing my journey between my parents' houses, because my mom had moved down here, but my biological was still up there. Yeah. Married to a woman younger than anyway. Atlanta sucked back then too. It sucked in the 70s. It sucked in the 80s. Yep. It always sucked. It's probably always going to suck. It's just the way it is, you know. Fulton County sucks. All of Fulton County, every part of it sucks.
And most of Western Gwinnett when I was down there, you know.
And I used to go down there when I was stationed at Fort Stewart. And we'd go to Atlanta, but we always went with like 6 GIs all together. We hung out together. Everywhere we went, you know, was like a commercial, like the Underground or the Coke plant. It was like, were we wandering around the hood? Hell no.
I felt safer sometimes when I drove semi-truck in South Central LA than I did in parts of Atlanta, and Philadelphia.
Philly is a shithole.
Oh, I know.
It's not the worst. The worst is East St. Louis. East St. Louis is just like,
East St. Louis is hell on earth.
It's just like, this is what the world would be like after World War III. East St. Louis. Like, no one gives a shit about anything, and you are likely to get burgled, robbed, etc. at any minute. Just because.
I read a story back in the 90s. A guy bought a office building, a 6-story or 5-story office building there on a tax delinquency auction for $26,000. I'm just like, oh my God. Now, how many windows to this day has he replaced before all the gunfire and everything else down in East St. Louis?
Yeah, I mean, how much money did he have to pay for like local private security to run all the crackheads out of there?
Oh, Jesus. I would brick up the whole bottom level. I would have just bricked it all up and figured out a way to put on a roll-up electric door with a chamber. You know what I'm saying? A air chamber sort of thing. You drive in, lower the door behind you, go through the next one, you know.
Like a freaking airlock and shit.
Yeah, like an airlock. So you're in, and you know, you can get up to your level, you know, where you're living at. So
I know that there was a time. It's not even a joke. There was a time you could buy a house in parts of Cleveland for about the same price as a VCR.
Oh yeah, well they had that here in Minneapolis. They had houses for here that were abandoned on the north side that were $1. You had to promise the city you would upgrade them so that they were livable. You had to put like $25,000 into them, and I'm like, at the time I was like, oh, that's tempting, but I'm like, I don't know. I'm out of town all the time. I couldn't see myself putting in 25 grand into a house, and then, you know, my neighbors coming over and stealing the windows right out of it.
I had friends that lived in Pikeville, and their biggest complaint was people every time they left that to go visit their family in Texas, someone would break into their house and steal all the copper wiring out of it.
Oh, Jesus.
And they were so mad because they replaced the copper wiring in this house like 4 times. They're like, you know what? We're just moving. We're tired of living in this area, you know? And I was like, you know, Pikeville can be a bit like that sometimes.
Well,
you know?
that's why you know, if you're a homebody, that's not a big deal. But if you like to travel, you know,
Yep.
you know.
Yeah, if you ain't got any friends or something that's willing to kind of keep an eye on your shit, sorry about it.
That's when you start having fun. Like I did my great aunt. She used to go over to my house in St. Paul, and she'd use my computer. Well, one day she's on the computer, and I had programmed in the Star Trek computer self-destruct system in 9, 8, 7. I got a call in the semi truck one day. My aunt was frantic. She's got, I don't know what I did, but I'm destroying your computer. It's gonna blow up. I had to laugh so hard about that. You know, it's like, it'll be fine. Don't have to worry about it.
Right. That is funny.
That was a good joke to scare the crap out of her, because she kept using my computer, and I'd come home and I'd find all these files on there. I'm like, what the hell's she doing now with my computer? You know?
Yeah, you're coming home and you're all like, what is this lemon party shit that's on my computer all the time?
Why do I have 14 recipes for Italian blah 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 in here, or German blah blah blah, or whatever?
Right.
Why is my printer queue filled with this stuff and nothing's been printed? Well, and then I call my aunt. I couldn't figure out how to turn on your printer. I'm like, oh God, here we go again.
Yeah, it's called
It doesn't come over. I'm like, oh my God.
Right? It's called It Needs Paper.
Yeah.
Put paper in it. It'll work.
All you have to do is press the on button. Well, where's the on button? It's in the back. It's just flip it up, and it's really easy.
Oh man,
I know.
I love old people.
I love that woman dearly until she got into my business and my love life, and I'm just like, you don't need to be in this. This is not your problem. You know what I mean?
See, I have the opposite complaint about my mom. She was too busy staying out of my love life, and that led to 2 divorces.
I should have listened to my mom and my first wife.
Now I'm all like, I should have listened to my mom, or I wish my mom had said something. No, hey, how you doing, Privyat? Who I should have listened to was my best friend. Because when I was standing, waiting for her to walk down the aisle, my best friend Marcus leaned over and said, dude, the car's down the block. I've got a cooler full of beer and the fishing rods. We can leave. And I'm like, nah, man, this is cool. And he's like, all right. And he had my back on it.
I was sitting at the poker table in Las Vegas, or as a blackjack table. I was up a decent amount of money, and my buddy comes up and puts his hand on me. My best man put a hand on my shoulder and says, time to get married. And I looked at him and says, how about if I don't want to? See? and he gave the dealer the cut him off thing and held up a $20 chip or something like that and tossed it on the table, and they cut me off. And I was just like, oh, come on.
No, see, the thing is my buddy Marcus, he just wanted what he knew was in my best interest.
Yeah.
And he also knew I loved to go to the coast to fish. So, I could have gotten to the car, left her ass standing at the altar. He and I would have gone and hung out and drunk beer and caught whatever, whiting or whatever we would have caught. And your boy would have been a lot better off. But instead, I had to do what my drill sergeant said I would do and marry the first slutty redhead I ran.
And this is the psycho one that keeps coming back in your life when you say no, or this
No,
one?
no. I haven't seen either of them in forever. They're gone.
Oh,
Thank God.
Jesus. Well, if I ever met any redheads down in Florida, I'm gonna. That's the first question I'm gonna say. How many times have you been married?
Well, one of them, the last time I heard about, was from my daughter, who sent me her mugshots. She's up in Fulton County, apparently being a prostitute.
Uh-oh.
So I don't think you got to worry about that one.
No, you never know, though.
Yeah, you never know. But I like to think you're smarter than to marry a prostitute, though. And I don't mean like that as a disparagement towards her. I mean, that's the career choice she went with after, everything went the way it went. So
there's something you need, James. Well,
tell me what I need, big boy.
when you were younger.
The
hot to crazy chart.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh yeah, that one. You don't marry a girl named Tiffany. You don't.
Right. If she's a 10 and she's a crazy less than 3, it's a tranny. It reminds me of one of the best scenes of any movie ever. Jack Nicklaus in I forget the movie, but the bimbo runs up to him and says, "You have to tell me how you're so great at writing women in your books." And he's like, "Well, first I take a man, and then I remove all logic and accountability." And that's all he says. And then the elevator door closes. And she's just standing there like, like, oh my God. It's like, chick, you just got cooked. Sorry about it. But yeah.
That's Jack Nicholson?
That was, Jack Nicklaus.
I thought it was Nicholson.
The actor, not the golf player, homie.
I thought that was the actor.
One's a golf player.
I didn't know about the golf player. I thought the actor was Nicholson.
What? You didn't know about the golf player? He's only like the greatest golf player of all time.
I don't care about golf.
Me neither. But even I don't care about most sports, but I mean, there's some names you know. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, you're right. Nicholas. Okay.
It's like everyone knows Nicholas.
No, Nicholas is the golfer.
Yes.
What's his name? The Iron Horse, they called him, the pitcher.
Nolan.
You gotta know about that guy. He played the game for like 40 freaking years.
Yeah, Nicholas was the golf player, not Nicholson.
You know about Barry Sanders, even if you don't know about football. Even if you're not a hockey fan, you know who Wayne Gretzky is. I mean, the great one. Even though
I've heard of Wayne Gretzky.
I like Patrick Waugh.
Oh, great. But
then again, I am a fan of the most hated team of all of hockey.
Yeah, Nicholson is the actor, not
no, hockey.
Oh, hockey.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
The most hated hockey team ever.
The Mighty Ducks?
Nope, the Bruins.
Yeah, Boston Bruins.
Everyone.
Hey, they were the fighting team. They'd show up, and if you didn't get in a fight with the Boston Bruins, it was something was wrong.
Something was off. Yeah.
I remember a game. I saw a video of it, of the North Stars versus the Boston Bruins. They cleared both benches. It was an all-out brawl here in Minnesota, in the Met Center. I was like, holy crap! How the refs gonna cure this one?
Yeah, the Bruins. That was their thing. Now my new team technically should be Florida. And to be fair, Florida has won a couple of Stanley Cups recently. So I was making fun of Canadians the other night, and I was saying things Florida has done that Canada is not likely to do at any time in the near future. Win a Stanley Cup. It's like, because People want to talk shit about Florida, but yeah, we won the Stanley Cup. So there you go. But we, as a state, we got the money to hire all the best Eastern European hockey players and then be like, hey, would you like to play for Orlando? Maybe set yourself up a nice hacienda over there in Windermere with all the other rich people like Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, live in the sunshine where it's beautiful. The only time you got to worry about getting cold is when you're actually out on the ice, and don't worry, it's all artificial anyway. We make it, And yeah. A guy I used to work with at the fire department tried out for the team, but he didn't make it. A big Swede. He immigrated over and tried to get in on the hockey game, but didn't make it. He played minors. And when he realized that his dreams of being a professional hockey player were never going to happen, he just used the money he had and went through fire academy and shit. Applied and got a job. Dude could bench 420. Not even kidding. Because fire departments like to compete with each other in weightlifting and shit like that, physical competitions. And we would always send that mother. And he'd always win. Like, he was your typical giant Viking. Tommy, but not spelled Tommy. Spelled all weird and shit, but it was Tommy. It had like a U in it and all kinds of shit, but he was
Oumie.
Yeah, but he was this like 6'3" jack dude. He could put up 420 plus all day long benching, and of course we'd always make fun of him because he never did leg day. So every time he'd wear shorts, we'd be like, look at those chicken legs. You need to go out there and do some squats. What's wrong with you, right? And he'd be like, oh. Freaking that guy. He ended up leaving our department because he got hired by Orlando. And Orlando is more prestigious and pays a lot more. So can't blame him,
Well, I heard a rumor that they were thinking about moving the Tampa Bay Rays up to Orlando because they can't get a stadium financed down there in Tampa. But that, you know what? If Trump's taking away the tax exemption for a sports team or sports things, you know what? Hey, you're not gonna see brand new stadiums every 20 years for these.
Well, what's crazy is the people paying for the stadiums.
Yeah, it's you and me.
Right. It's like the guy charging $150 for a ticket ain't the one paying for the stadium.
Right.
It's like, if you took a shit ton of my tax money to build a stadium, I feel like I should get like season tickets or something. It's only fair, right?
That's why I've told my kids, everybody who listens to me, the only way I go to a game is if it's under $50, and if it's or I get them for free. You know what I mean? It's like, no, sorry, not going. I don't need to go. I can sit at my comfort of my home, for $50 a year, and I can watch every single game by just if I want
high definition and be in a comfortable place, have your own popcorn or food, whatever you want.
I don't need to pay $10 for a Coca-Cola. I can go walk into the kitchen for $1.25 and grab one.
You don't need to spend $30 on a thing like a beer.
Yeah.
See, I used to be lucky because we used to have the Expos spring training camp down here.
Yeah. Well, that and I've heard
you could catch a game for like $5.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be the actual, it'd be the Expos versus the Pirates or whoever. And you just pay your $5 and go, and everything was like dirt cheap. They were just happy to have people there, And that would be good. Solar Bears, when they were down here, you could get Solar Bear tickets for nothing, because back then no one gave a shit about hockey except for like my wife and I, and it was like, because this is Florida. People in Florida.
You know what, James?
Hold on. There we go. Sorry about that. I hate to show
That's
my
okay.
violent side, but sometimes.
You know, James, I actually got to see a fireworks show in my front yard.
Well, considering you live in Kentucky, that can mean so many things.
Yeah.
I mean, like, did somebody try to burn your house down?
I'm thinking
No, it was an actual
Was there a
fireworks show. Like
shootout?
no, it was just a regular fireworks show.
Well, good for you,
You know,
man.
people go to a certain place and watch it. We just had to just set up some chairs, like lawn chairs in our front yard. Just sat there and watched it.
Yeah, I don't know if
My
I'd
aunt
do
and uncle
that.
actually set those things up, so probably them that did it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd do that where I live. Somebody starts just randomly letting off explosives up there.
Well, I have an old saying, James, and you might not think it's funny, but my girlfriend asked me once when we were going through Tennessee and Kentucky. She says, "Why are these roads so curvy?" I said, "Would you trust a redneck with a stick of dynamite?" And she looked at me. She had to think about it for a while, and I said, and she goes, "Oh."
And the answer is yes. That's why whenever you go through the cuts, you can see the drill where they drilled to put the explosives in. But
I know, but
you can buy explosives from like hardware stores and shit in Kentucky for like blowing up stumps and stuff like that.
Oh, I know.
And these idiots that I know, they went up the hillside from my house, up the mountainside, and they built a device and they detonated it. And it was so freaking loud and so powerful that they had U.S. Marshals and shit running up and down the street looking for, like, I don't know, terrorists or something.
Oh, Jesus.
Of course, they never got caught. They just jumped on their four-wheelers and they're like,
off.
"Catch you later, bitches." Because I mean, if you're in even if you're in an SUV or something, if somebody's on a dirt bike or a four-wheeler up in those mountains and you want to try and catch them, yeah, good luck.
Yeah,
it's not happening. They're gone.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. That's what I.
They know the land like it's the back of their hand, and you're not catching that.
I told my girlfriend one day. I said, if I was going to go rob a bank, I'd have a motorcycle. She's like, why? Because I said, I'd go out and I'd scope out every route I could possibly take, and just, you know what I mean, vanish. And she's like, how? I said, well, you go between these houses. If they don't have the helicopter up or anything, you can get in between these houses and you can find yourself a good
area.
Yeah, you can get down into like these parks and stuff like that, and you can run that motorcycle. And she says, but they got infrared. And I said, infrared can be deceived in it really easily. And she goes, how? Give me a scuba tank. I said, I'll be underneath the water. I'll be swimming for a boat that's anchored out in the middle of the water. They won't be able to find me. They'll find a motorcycle eventually that's in the water, but they're going to be looking for me high and low, and I'll be on a boat sailing south or something.
Well, here's the thing. If you rob the bank, theoretically, during the daytime, then infrared don't matter.
Well, I know.
And as soon as you get that Honda, whatever it is, 120, 150, 200, right, whatever, into the woods, screw it. It's over. It's done. You know, there'll be, and then you just dump off the bike somewhere and hustle to where you have another vehicle parked, and then you leave the state.
Right. Well, and I told her exactly how I did it. And she's just like, I don't think you can get away with that. I said, oh, I know I could.
People have. I mean, you know, there are people who have gotten away with it. So I wouldn't recommend it. But
well, I'm not recommending it either, but I was describing that, you know, you can go in between houses and go into like a county park. And once you're in a county park, there's no trails or anything back in there. They're not going to come get you. There's just no way. They might surround a park or whatever, but, you know, if it's next to a river that's next to the state border, what are they going to do? You know what I mean? You can slip in the water with a scuba tank and disappear pretty easily if you know scuba diving. You're like, oh, you can be in a boat on the other side of a river or of a lake, and not worry about it. So,
well, I'll tell you guys what. I robbed a bank once, and how I got away with it is I ran to the subway, but I didn't get on the subway. I jumped down on the tracks, and I ran down the tracks until I got to a maintenance shed, and I bust the door open with a Halligan bar and then took the staircase up. And of course, that's because I was playing what's his name? Nico Bellic.
right.
GTA 4.
GTA 4. You remember you got to go into the bank with the Irish mobsters to rob it?
I've never actually played GTA 4.
4
I
is the best GTA.
I don't know. There's so many ways though. I mean, you could, I described it as I was going to get get a scuba suit on, have a dry bag, and just get underneath the water and swim out to a boat that's anchored out in the middle of the lake or the river, amongst a whole bunch of other boats, or it's in a marina, and just crawl in the boat and wait. You know what I mean?
Right.
And just let the police, walk around. They're not going to know.
Sense, but yeah, my whole thing was just GTA 4 is the best because you get to play Nico Bellic, who is a Serbian soldier from the Yugoslav War. And like within the first 25 minutes of the game, you get to go down to a basketball court and beat the fuck out of some Albanians with a ball bat. You don't have to kill them, but I always do.
Well, there's also the coolest glitches in GTA 4.
Because they're bullying your cousin Roman. These freaking Albanians. So you get to go down there and
like the swing set. You can just launch yourself off the swing set.
Yeah. But me, I just take the ball bat down there and beat them half to death. It's not even close because they're a bunch of street thugs, and Nico Bellic was like a Pantera soldier during the, which is one of the elite Serbian soldiers.
Well, you know what? One of my problems is I'm too damn tall. I mean, at 6'6", I sort of stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, so, that is your problem. I already told you.
Yeah. So
if you were in an infantry squad with me and there was a sniper downrange, I would sure hate to be you. Because he's going to see you a head taller than everyone else and be like, yeah, I bet I can dot that eye. Yep. Whereas, like we were talking when Jose was saying how being short in a war, he didn't think it was a good thing. And I was like, it's the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Short guys can hide behind anything. Yeah. Because it's all about cover. If you can take cover and, return fire, you're good. If you're too big to hide behind anything, you're in trouble because the rule with modern combat is if they can see you, they can kill you. That's just it. That's just the rule. And generally, whoever sees who first wins.
Well, unless they can't shoot. I mean, I've heard of stories about the Taliban that 95% of them can shoot worth a shit. It was more spray and pray.
You can listen to special forces guys, and they'll talk about the Taliban spray and pray. But the problem is when you got 50 guys and they're all behind a concrete wall, holding the AK over their heads, not even aiming, just emptying that thing full auto at you, right? If you're not behind cover, statistically, you're going to get it. Because there is just too much lead in the air. And, it's just like
volume, fire by volume.
Yep.
Or volume
because
by fire.
Because the way they do the Taliban is they'll squat down behind a concrete wall, hold their AK sideways like this, and just spray it.
Yeah.
You got like 30 people doing that in your general direction, man? No. You want to be behind something big. Because that shit will go bad quick. This is no good. In Iraq, the thing they used to do to us is they'd empty the magazine and then try to throw the rifle down and surrender. And sometimes it worked. And sometimes they were too slow.
Well,
and it didn't work.
That's what I was told by a couple guys, and they said they just hunker down and wait. They just sit there and let them waste ammo. They just they might when they're changing a clip, they figure out when they're changing a clip, they get out there, put a couple shots down range, and let them come out from behind, thinking, "Oh, we got them." No.
Yeah, James, I also heard another one of their strategies with the artillery. They would have the shells frozen above the artillery piece and just leave it there. And then whenever the ice melt, it would fall down and go off, and they would use that to basically shell places.
Well,
I forgot where that was exactly, though.
One thing was this. If we ever got engaged, which it didn't happen much, but any of the major firefights I was in where we got heavily engaged by enemy soldiers, all you got to do is like suppress them and then call in artillery. And that's the new American way of fighting. You know what I mean? The machine gunner gets up and just starts running belts. The Bradley's hanging out in the back, chugging rounds downrange. As long as you can keep them from being able to move, you'll have an attack helicopter artillery inbound in no time. And once that happens, I don't give a shit who they are. They're done. I mean, look what happened to those PRC guys in Syria that went up against one special forces team. It was like 300 PMC or PRC mercenaries against 7 Green Berets. And they just started calling in everything. You had naval ships off the coast, lobbing rounds and attack helicopters.
Well, what about the Wagner versus the Marines over in Syria? They sent in everything.
It was Wagner, but they were going after a special forces LP, and it was like 300 Wagnerites.
Yeah.
Versus the special forces guys, and the special forces guys just started calling in artillery. They're just like
turned it into a moonscape.
Yeah, because the one thing that America does pretty much as good or better than any other country on the planet is support infantry in the field. And I know that because I was an infantryman. It's like our entire doctrine of war is if you're an infantry guy and you need anything, you're going to get it. If you need fast movers, you get the lieutenant on the radio, they'll be there. They'll be inbound. Because the whole rest of the military, the Navy, the Air Force, everyone, they're just holding their breath, waiting for us to call. And as soon as that call comes in, it's going to be hell to pay for everybody involved. It's going to be a bad day. And that's just how we do it. And it works.
Did you ever hear about the story about the North Koreans who shot at a U.S. battleship?
I did. And we erased the whole hill.
The whole mountain. Like, one lucky shot and then you got obliterated. Well, you scratched his paint. You get what you get.
You get what you get. They landed an artillery round on that ship, and then the battleship just unloaded all those 16-inch guns. Yep. And the whole hillside that North Korean artillery piece had been dug into vanished. Gone. And according to the story, the captain of one of the cruisers that was escorting the battleship got on the radio and told the admiral who was on the battleship, temper, sir. Because, but apparently that admiral was like, erase that hill. And it's like, boom, gone. But those 16-inch guns, we had them in Iraq. I think it was the Missouri. They had parked off the coast. And those things, when they come over, they sound like freaking steam engines. They're like, chugga, 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 chugga. You know what I mean? And anything on the other end of that is done for good. Just sorry. about your luck. I hope you said your final prayers to whichever God you chose to believe in, because you are done. That is it. Nothing is coming back from that, you know. But really, the thing that the Iraqi we captured that we're most terrified of were Apaches. Like, they were terrified of them. We captured a bunch of them one time, and Apache flew over, and these dudes hit the dirt and started throwing sand on their back. And they'd already been captured. So it's like, what are you even doing, man? But at nighttime, I'd be sitting on the Bradley looking off in the distance, and it'd be quiet, and all of a sudden you hear boom, 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 and you just see glowing tracers coming out of nowhere in the sky down to the ground. And you knew somebody's having a bad day right then. Because that Apache pilot, he's got his IR on, and he's just kind of creeping around, and he's like, yep, here's somebody. Boom, 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 boom. Done. And it don't matter if you're infantry, you're a tank, a light armored vehicle, whatever you are, when that freaking Apache starts unloading, you are done. I mean, you almost feel bad for them.
No, I don't.
I said almost.
I'm the FAFO. Fuck around, find out. You know.
Yeah, well, that was definitely an F around, and that was definitely in that category.
I have no sympathy. I have no sympathy for anybody who thinks that. Oh, I am. You know, it's like the 5'2" guy that weighs 100 pounds. He says, "Oh, I'm going to go take on that guy that's 250, 6'6". I know I could kick his ass," and everybody's looking at him, going, "You know, you're an idiot. You know, you're an idiot. You know, you're an idiot."
My question is,
Oh, this is worse. This is like that 5'2" guy going around poking the bear.
my question is, but why do you want to? I mean, but there's always that guy in every bar, though. You know that. You're in the military.
Oh God!
Every bar, there's a 5'3" guy that's gonna find the biggest guy in the bar to try and beat up because he's got that Napoleon complex going on.
Oh God!
And it's just like,
we were in a bar fight once in Memphis, and I'll describe this to you. Me, 6 other Navy guys, all of us over 6 foot tall, sitting in the bar enjoying beers, not having a problem. The Marines, 2 Marines, decided to pick on the rednecks. Now, the rednecks knew me because I went to this bar regularly, and they left me alone, and I left them alone. Everything was cool, you know. we had a thing. Well, the Marines come in, they start picking a fight, and all of a sudden there's a fight, and bar stools are starting to fly around, and they decide, oh, we're going to go pick a fight with the Navy now. All 6 of us stand up. The fight ended right then. They knew that it was not going to be a winning combination because it was like, they're going to get into this, and it's not going to be fun at all. So it's just like no brains, because we had just had our first beer. You know what I mean? You could tell these guys are lit. You know,
right? We weren't allowed to leave post unless we went in groups because all of the.
Oh, James,
Yeah,
you muted yourself.
It is a glitch that happens. But yeah, we couldn't leave post because all of the people off post, like all the guys off post, hated our guts.
Oh.
So if you were out there and you didn't have your crew with you, you know what I mean? Then the chances of having a throwdown with the locals went up exponentially because they hated you because their damn Dependosauruses or Dependopotamuses were always trying to hook up with a GI so that they wouldn't have to live in Hinesville, Georgia. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that, of course, pissed off the men because, you know, men like to fight for dominance over the breeding stock.
Yeah. Well,
I guess to put it in like primitive terms. And so that was the thing. If you left post, take friends because if those country boys, and I'm a country boy, but those country boys catch you out there alone and they think they can get away with it, they will stomp you pretty good,
Mm-hmm.
just to make themselves feel better about the fact that you or someone like you is banging all their women and they hate it. And you know what? And I don't blame them. I get it. I'm not like immune to a little bit of empathy here. I understand. It probably sucks growing up and going to high school and whatever in some little tiny town off post, and all the chicks that you had a crush on throughout high school all of a sudden are dating GIs and whatever. That probably
It happened more than you can believe. I know of, let's see here, high school, I knew 3 or 4 different women that they found a GI that they could hook up with, and as soon as they could hook up with them after high school, boom, they were gone. Just like, nope, we're out of here.
Yeah.
They did not want to be around anymore.
Nope.
Until they got a divorce, and then they ended up back there anyways.
Yep. Because, like I said, my drill sergeant said about the divorce thing. Yeah, he told us that every single one of us idiots was going to marry a redheaded slut, and every one of us would have a divorce within a couple years. He was right. He also told us we would all buy a car for way more than it was worth. He was right.
Yep.
Almost as if that guy had seen that shit for years and years before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, YDF.
Because we did.
YDF, young, dumb, and full of cum.
Yeah. That was Drill Sergeant Blyden pulled us all aside when we were graduating. He said, boys, I'm going to tell you what you're going to do because you're infantry. And he told us all, you're going to marry the first redheaded pole dancer you can find, and you're going to buy a Firebird, probably candy apple red at 30% APR. And then you'll get a divorce and you'll be paying on that car for the next 20 years. Like, damn.
Well, you know what my problem was, James? Married. I got down to Memphis. It was married women to other service members. I was like,
well, that's just the Navy.
It was.
No, that's the Army too, though.
I went over to this one guy's house, and a woman says, "Hey, how you doing? I'm looking for your husband. Hey, can you stick around for a minute? Okay, I got to go to the bathroom. Oh my god, I had to tell my buddy. I couldn't. There's no way I was going to do anything with her. But it was. She comes out in this see-through negligee thing, and she says, "How do I look?" And I'm just like, "Oh god." I did not want to go down.
The rule. You know what the big rule is in the Navy?
Huh.
If you're going to cheat with somebody, never cheat with somebody on the same boat as the person you're married to.
I know.
There's other boats. You cheat with the guys on those boats. Because, if you're cheating with somebody on the same boat as your spouse, not that cheating is ever good, but that's just scummy as hell. What's up, Jose?
I left. Let's put it this way, James. I left right away, and I'm like, so as soon as I saw him, I was like, dude, I had to tell him. It was just.
You know what the worst is the ones that get mad when you tell them.
Oh, I know.
A guy I know, I told him that his woman was stepping up. Yeah, he was an infantryman just like me, and his woman was a curly red-haired girl too. And I told him what was going on, and he never spoke to me again.
Yep, that's what this guy did. I was like, why are you mad at me? I didn't do nothing, I flat out told you what she was up to, and But
maybe they had an agreement too, though.
I don't care if they had the agreement or not. You know what I mean?
Well, I know you don't care, but you put him on Front Street, and him and his wife might have had an agreement that, a little swing in here and there was okay.
Well,
because some people do that. It's a big thing in the fire service.
No.
Like, I never went to them, and I damn sure never took my wife to them, but they used to once a year have like a They called it the pimp and hoe party,
Oh God.
where all the women were supposed to dress up like in their most whorish outfits, and all the men like pimps and shit. And some of the crazy ass shit I heard that went on at these things, I was like, yeah. And you think I'm going to take my sweet innocent little Scandinavian bride to this shit? You are out of your mind. Because I'll end up killing one of these. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like, I ain't trying to be that guy, but you guys try to put the play on my wife, it's going to be a problem. You know? I mean, I like you. I love you like brothers. I'd go into a fire with you and everything else, but better not catch you trying to put hands on my Kool-Aid, because, you know, there's some things I don't deal with. But I was also the guy that, like, you ever work with those dudes that come in and they want to brag about how they got laid with their wife?
Oh yeah.
God, I hate that. I hate that so bad. And these guys would come in and start talking about all this shit they did and what she did and how he did and all this and that. And it was so bad on my shift for a while that I eventually told the main degenerate, I eventually told him, I said, are you advertising your wife's sexual skills? Like, you keep talking about it. It's like, are you trying to convince me that maybe on a day you're on shift and I'm not, I should swing by? I was like, what are you doing? So they stopped talking about that shit.
Thank God.
Because it's like, how disrespectful, you know? It's like you married that woman, and then you're going to come in, and I know we're all bros and shit like that, but you're going to come in and tell us all this nasty porn shit that, you know, you got her doing. It's like, nah, man, I don't. I'm a Christian man. I don't want to hear any of that. You know what I'm saying? Keep that shit to yourself.
Wow, that sounds
There was
like
a few
another
times where
planet.
I had to look at somebody and just tell them, I don't want to know. I do not want to know. I don't care, because I know what their wives look like too. And I was like, no, don't care. And
What's not only that,
To
it's
me,
like,
that sounds,
are you literally standing here bragging to me that your wife put out? To
me,
you.
that sounds like another planet, you know?
Because it's like, she's your wife. It's not like it should be a big, difficult situation for you to get laid by your wife. This is your wife.
it's
Like,
the so what factor. I'm not going over there anyways.
Definitely, it
like,
sounds so alien to me.
well, because some
Like, you know.
people are idiots, Jose. They've got no damn sense.
Yeah.
And then they would have, yeah, it's inappropriate as shit. And then every time that you have like a firefighter get together for like your Christmas parties and all that, where everybody comes in to eat and everything, right? And this dude's wife's sitting across the table from you, and you're sitting there with your wife, and he's there with his wife, and you're all like thinking about like all the shit he said about her. I had
Yeah,
to tell
sounds
him that.
weird.
I said,
Weird.
you want me to be thinking about your wife with a penis in her mouth every time we go to a Christmas party? Is that really what you want? Like I said, I straightened them up. But these were young idiots. And a lot of them were into swinging and shit. And it's like, we'd find out that somebody had got hired. And like some of these idiots, the first thing they would do is go on Facebook to see if they could find the new guy and to look at his wife. They weren't going to see what he was like. They were going to see if he had a hot wife or not.
Oh God.
And it's like, you fucking scumbags. Excuse my language, but it's like breaking rules over here, guys. You know, I hate to sound like the old man in freaking
When I was in high school, I heard crazy stories, but I just like Star Wars.
You're a nerd, so
I am a nerd.
I don't care about any of that.
Yeah, I'm a nerd.
Want to talk
And
about
basically,
Jawas though? Like, what's under those stupid hoods? Jose, I say that, but I was the same way. Throughout middle school and high school, I was way more concerned about what a Jawa looked like with their hood off or some shit like that than any of this sex shit that was going on.
Yeah, me too.
But I think I grew up in a normal generation where,
I was thinking about riding the bike.
oh yeah, ride your bike, go fishing.
Yeah, eat, drinking from the hose in the garden.
Yeah.
I was
More
I was
mature.
all for that stuff until, let's see here, my what was that, ninth grade, and the girls started chasing me. I was like, oh hey.
Yep. No one chased me until I was in the Army.
I do.
But I grew up in the Army. You know what I mean? I'm one of those guys
Yeah.
that I was really skinny and greasy and bad complexion and all that. Got into the Army, started eating right, working out all the time. Got a little bit jacked, grew like 6 inches in like 6 months. I had a massive growth spurt and just and then the women were a little bit more interested, but to be honest, they were all married because every time one of our brigades would go out into the field, all the wives of the men from that brigade would be at the E Club.
I always looked younger, so basically girls didn't like me because I had the face of a very young one.
You had a baby face.
My
Something
25th,
like that, yeah.
my 25th high school reunion, I walk in there. I only recognized some of the women. I didn't hardly recognize any of the guys. And the women turned to me and they're like, "You look the same, if not better, than high school." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I'm like, "Yeah, you let yourself go. How many children did you have?"
Well, she's got the
you didn't give me even a chance in high school, and now you're coming around sniffing around. No, thank you.
They say she's got the 3 Ds, homie.
Yeah.
Depression, divorce, and diabetes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was crazy because they would I'd look around and the pro football player, he's like 300, or the guy that was our quarterback in high school is 300 pounds and 6 foot tall. And you can tell he's one of those big drinkers because his nose is like beet red and stuff. It was just like, oh yeah. And he still thinks he's hot shit walking around, talking to all the girls and stuff. And,
I always look young, even at 60. Hey, that's just good genetics, man.
Yeah. Or you're not drinking and smoking dope or taking all those prescription medications that they pour out to you. I mean, I don't do any of that.
That's what they call the people, like, if they got like their nose is real bulbous and it's got a lot of veins in it.
Mm-hmm.
That's called gin blossoms.
Mm-hmm.
Because apparently drinking a lot of gin will make you have that, I guess.
Yeah, so if today I look younger than I look, I paid the price when I was in high school.
Right. The Gin Blossoms also, on the other hand, are one of the greatest bands from like the 90s, early 2000s.
Looky here. It says here's a Dungeons and Dragons Netflix series coming to it's coming to Netflix. It's a live action Netflix series. Is it
Another
going
Netflix adaptation?
Like all of the main characters are going to be drow.
Right. It's titled The Forgotten Realms, in its early stages of development with let's see, the guy from Stranger Things, Shadow and Bone, and We Crashed, and Hasbro Entertainment are all in it. Oh, great. Well, this is gonna flop.
I'm going to hope that it doesn't, but I think you're right.
What do you think is going to be the bigger flop? That or Snow White?
Oh, nothing will beat Snow White. Snow White is going to be the biggest flop of all time, I think.
Marvel lost like 200 million recently, and it's like Snow White. Hold my beer.
Yeah, hold my beer. Because I mean, if you're
Oh,
an actress
you know,
in a movie, just shut the hell up.
Disney could be such a great company if they didn't have too many fucking goddamn egomaniacs up at the top.
What
I
they
mean,
need is more Walt, less Disney.
Yeah, women. That's what I would say. If they would fire basically 50% of the women they have on the board.
I can get rid of Bob Iger.
Yeah, get rid of Bob too.
Kathleen Kennedy.
Yep, she's got to go. And anyone she hired, got to go.
Yeah.
I would completely eliminate almost all of the hierarchy on the Star Wars side or the Lucasfilms division.
I would get rid of all the DEI. It would all be gone. Disney would be great again, maybe better than ever.
I don't disagree. I wonder how much money they've spent on that kind of nonsense.
Well, when you look at the people, like when they're given that one online thing and it leaked, and they're talking about how they want to add more queer / whatever characters to their shows, and like 80% of the people talking were just liberal white women. And it's like, catch you later, historical doppelganger. And it's like, well, there's your problem right there. I've found out what your problem is, Bob. It was really easy. You hired a bunch of liberal white women who probably all have stupid degrees in basket weaving or something. And the sooner you get rid of their dumb asses, the better. And it's not like they actually believe what they say, because Kathleen Kennedy hired Epstein's assistant. So it's like, give me a break, you know?
Hey,
you're not even really feminist, because how can you hire Epstein's assistant but then still claim like you actually give a shit about feminism or anything?
Didn't I read somewhere that Epstein's list is going to be released within 14 days?
Oh, wait, I'm thinking of the other one, not Epstein, Weinstein.
Oh, Harry, or what's it? Yeah, the guy who's convicted of rape.
Yeah. They, Kathleen Kennedy hired Harvey Weinstein's personal assistant and then put her in charge of Star Wars. That's the one that made that stupid, the power of one, the power of two, the power of many. Like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
It's like these people actively hate the product you are trying to make and the customers that would consume said product. Get rid of them or go extinct. I'm good either way, honestly.
If I was there, I would do my best job, but I am not there.
Well, there's been some.
And they would pay me.
First things first, I would go back and I would say, I'd go back and I'd go, we're going to re-straighten out the timeline for Star Wars. That's one of the first things I would do, and bring back that line. And I look at those 3 movies, those 3 pieces of crap they made, and I would bury them so far in the vault it wouldn't even be funny.
Well, here's what's funny is, according to Disney itself, those are no longer canon.
No.
If I was in charge, what I would do is that I would reshoot episode 7 so that Rey is a scavenger who builds force sensitive machines, and I would delete the rest of the movie. So she's a scavenger. Perfect.
What I would do is I would make Rey a scavenger that's pretty good at building stupid shit, and I would make Finn the Jedi.
Yep. Yeah, that would be awesome.
And then it would all be about Ray having to get the Millennium Falcon and getting to where Luke Skywalker is, where Luke Skywalker would not be a bitter old man, but a Jedi Master who would take Finn under his wing, Yoda style, to teach him to be a Jedi.
Yep, that's
And
it.
then that would be such, I think, a good character arc, because you would have the guy that used to be
That's what it needs.
but now he's a Jedi, and I mean, it would just be better. But no, they couldn't do that.
And
We did Luke Skywalker. I mean, the guy who literally walked basically unarmed into the Emperor's presence to try to redeem his dad, and yet later he tries to murder his nephew while he's sleeping. Yeah. It's like, this ain't even the same guy.
Yeah.
Yep, not even the same
It's like,
guy.
what are you thinking?
I would keep Kylo Ren, but he would not be son of anyone from the trilogy.
No.
He would not take off his mask.
Well, the thing though is, Kylo Ren's real name was Ben.
Oh, I don't care. He will be Kylo. Period.
In the books,
never Ben.
There was a Ben.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no,
Luke Skywalker's son was named Ben.
Yeah,
but
Luke Skywalker's son, Luke Skywalker with Mara Jade was Ben Skywalker.
Right. So they could have still had him in there as part of the whatever, but they effed it all up.
Yeah, that's throwing names in a hat and shaking it up and throwing, hey, this is what we're gonna do, because that's the way I swear to God they put that stuff together. It's like you guys are
not going to disagree. It's
Finn
like a
would,
bunch of saboteurs got together and come up with a plot.
And Finn would refuse to fire at his spears.
Well, you know what the problem is these days is these conspiracies keep coming true. So
what conspiracy?
Whatever, right?
Well,
but it's
a lot
like
of conspiracies.
It's like if I had a nickel for every time freaking Alex Jones conspiracy turned out to be true, shit, I might be able to buy a new car. But regardless of that, the biggest mistake they made, guys, and we all know it, was when Kathleen Kennedy decided that all of the extra book stuff no longer counted. That was it. That was the end of it. So
another blunder they did is when they closed that Star Wars hotel. They
opened it again.
Did they open it one more time?
Yeah, they closed it because it just loses money. No one's going to pay $1,000 to stay at a stupid hotel.
I know, $1,200 a night to stay at that hotel. I'm like, are you out of your effing mind?
Are actually super expensive too.
Everything else is expensive. The only people who could afford. See, that's the thing with Disney. Is Disney used to be the family place, and now it's the you better be rich as shit place.
Yeah, well, as my sister says, it's more money. That's what Mickey Mouse stands for. More money.
So no longer is it we're going to take, your blue collar working man saying he's going to take the family to Disney.
And they don't do congestion pricing either. Congestion pricing meaning they could have that $125 ticket on the weekends, but during the week, Mondays, come on. Nobody's going to pay $125. Make them $50 and you'll fill the park up. You know what I mean?
If I was in charge, I would make people think that the hotel is a Star Destroyer.
Mm-hmm.
So they would be experiencing the life of a Star Destroyer in the hotel, basically.
So have a bunch of stormtroopers and shit?
Yeah, stormtroopers and some screens and people doing things, basically as if it was a Star Destroyer. And they, from time to time, they would have battles. From time to time, they would have people trying to get into the hangar or doing some stuff, and basically evacuating the hotel people to their rooms because there is an emergency with the rebels and stuff, and
that's right. Make the rebels the bad guys.
Yeah, something like
should.
that.
Oh, I don't know. I would have it as a just a passenger liner, and then have battles between the rebels and Star Wars stormtroopers in the middle of the hallway. Just like they're having a battle down there, or whatever, and stuff like that, and having Wookiees walk around and stuff like that, just for just for the atmosphere. So. I mean, they could have put a Cantina bar in there. They could have done something like the Mos Eisley Cantina bar and had, you're walking through it and stuff like that. So
I was the Imperium is right guy way, way before anyone else was the Imperium was right guy.
Well, gentlemen, it's 7:15. It's 8:15 over there in the East Coast.
It is.
I'm done. I'm baked.
You
We're gonna go
wiped out?
upstairs and relax for a while.
Yeah, I think I need to get off too. I'll see ya.
Yeah. Well, see you later, Leth. See you later, Jose, and see you later, James.
See ya.
All right. I'll hang out with you for a few more minutes, Jose.
Okay.
But we're just talking about all the bullshit we would do, but it don't matter.
Yeah.
Because we're just who we are. And the people in charge don't give a shit what we think anyway.
Yeah, they are not going to hire me to fix things.
They're not going to hire you to fix things, even though you could probably make things way better than they currently are. They don't care, It's like the thing we're going through now in America right now is all these idiots out in the street being like, who voted for Elon Musk? And I'm like, well, who the fuck voted for the guy who's been running the FBI for the last, like who voted for anybody? It's like, it's so stupid because no one voted for any of this shit. They're just mad because he's finding out how people with $100,000 a year job got $200 million in the bank,
And this is going to have effects internationally because people from other nations will expect their politicians to do the same.
Well, hopefully they will.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
you weren't here earlier, but I was pointing out that DEI company or whatever, the ADE or whatever, they were paying groups in Ukraine and Russia to try to destabilize the Orthodox Church.
And they were paying the Gamergate.
And they were paying anti-Gamergate. All of the game media that was calling Gamergate a bunch of misogynist, evil incels and shit like that is all being paid by these guys.
Yeah,
that is so crazy.
Yeah. I wonder if they pay to ruin Star Wars. Because probably because if they pay the company is going to basically take the money and do what they say.
Well, yeah, and especially so I wonder because if the paycheck is guaranteed. That's the thing they're saying. All of a sudden, like people like Hassan Piker and Bosch and other super left-wing guys are begging for money
and for 10 years. For 10 years?
Yeah.
Imagine
because they could say anything they wanted when they thought that the Fed had them covered. You know what I mean? They could talk all the shit they wanted. It didn't matter. They're still going to get their checks. It was still going to be whatever, right? But all of a sudden, that gravy train has been found out. They're not going to get their checks for spreading communist propaganda online. So they're begging their fan base to, give them money.
Well, finally, people are going to pay to get the job done, no? Finally, people are going to pay to get the job done.
Finally. Like, if you like Vosh, donate money to his Patreon. I don't give a shit. But the fact that the federal government was like possibly paying these guys to spread Marxist, anti-American political messaging, that seems, I would call it treasonous, but I don't know.
Yeah, well, the United States has always been alien to me in terms of politics, but what I cannot forgive is that they ruined Star Wars.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and like I said, people don't want to talk about it, but it was done purposely. Somebody
Yes, it
at
was
Walt
done.
Disney decided there were not allowed to be any more male role models that were positive. And they talk all this shit about wanting that equality and shit, and yet they took Finn off the poster that they
Yeah,
advertised the
they did
movie in China,
in, in
because
China.
the Chinese are
Yes.
super racist apparently. And
The problem that happens there is that people who work in the countryside, basically they are exposed to the sun, and their skin is not white, and for them being white is like a sign of being rich. So
because you
basically it
don't
is
have to
more
be out
like a
in the
sign of
sun
status.
working.
So yes. Yeah, so basically tan skin is a sign of being less rich,
No, the
to
Indians are
say the
kind of that
least.
way too. Like not Nate. I'm not talking about American Indians. I'm talking about like in India.
Hmm.
Like their highest social class is the ones with the pale skin, the
Hmm.
Brahmins. I mean, half of those Brahmins, if you ever watch Bollywood, you would think that they were just Europeans. Their skin is
Yeah.
so freaking pale, and it's like a lot of the Sikhs. When you see Sikhs, a lot of those dudes are as white as I am. It's just it's weird to me, but whatever.
Yeah, well, the this thing with Elon Musk is going to be quite a
Yep.
show,
Here's the thing:
and the
the
show,
most beautiful
the show,
man
yeah,
ever to live in
yeah,
America, ever, right? Obviously was of some sort of mixed race because he had dark skin. I mean, it wasn't dark like African dark, but it was dark. And I am, of course, talking about Elvis Presley.
Elvis
If you
Presley.
look at Elvis Presley, he's got that jet
Mhm.
black hair. He's got that kind of olive, dark complected skin. That is not a Norwegian. That is somebody who's got maybe some Spanish or Indian in him. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying? Plus,
Interesting.
Elvis Presley, he's a king and also one of the most beautiful men to ever live. I mean,
Interesting.
Michael Jackson, he's the king of pop, but Elvis is the king of rock.
Yeah.
And then Michael Jackson married Elvis's daughter, but that didn't turn out for anything. I mean, you would think that between the two of them, they would have genetically created like the most powerful musician ever, but it didn't work out. But can you imagine Elvis and Michael Jackson's genes together and like a child, the musical, it's like if this kid isn't going to be one of the greatest singers of all time, I don't know what to even say about it. Because I mean, the parentage is there. He's got he's
Yeah.
got Elvis, he's got MJ. But like I
Yeah.
said, it just didn't happen, unfortunately.
So what will I do? The most terrible thing that I will do is not to watch a Skeleton Crew.
Somebody said it actually wasn't bad.
Yeah, I heard that it is not bad, it is not good, it is just a story that is not going to be a classic.
That is the
So
problem. It's like now I remember when Mandalorian season 1 came out, how super hyped I was. And now I'm sitting here and I can't
mhm.
even remember it. Like when I try and think about like what was I so hyped about? Because
He looked like Boba Fett.
now that I think about it, it's like it just wasn't that memorable. It was like I can remember A New Hope, like every part of it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah,
Empire, of course, I can remember Empire. Like every part of it. But
yeah, that's
the everything else,
it.
I can't remember anything. It's like I watched it and I said, "Yeah, that was pretty good," and then I immediately it left my brain.
Yeah, it is like to me, the Clone Wars was good because it made me love the prequels because I dislike the prequels to
Yeah,
be honest because they lacked character
they did.
development, and then when I watched the Clone Wars, then I started to love the prequels because it completed the picture that I needed.
See, I
So
was kind of like that. I liked the Clone Wars, and it made me tolerate the prequels better. I still
yeah,
didn't like them, but I
tolerate.
was like, okay, now,
Yeah, episode one, not episode one, but
yeah.
two and three, that's fine.
Um, my favorite part, though, of the Clone Wars, honestly, was the return of Darth Maul, who
That's
I
it.
thought had the stupidest death ever. It's like they
Yeah,
built this guy up like he was this super badass, and then like Kenobi just cut him in half. It wasn't even a fight. It was like boom, dead. It's like,
yeah.
man, talk about putting all of this shit in for no payoff. You know, it's like
Hmm.
I thought this guy was supposed to be some kind of badass Sith warrior, but apparently,
Yeah, it was lazy.
no, not really.
It was a lazy plot twist.
Yeah, it's just like,
This is where you see that Marcia Lucas played a role in the Star
oh,
Wars.
his wife.
Yeah, yeah, because episode one was the first attempt of doing things without his wife.
Huh.
So you can see the influence because episodes four to six were influenced by her, and episode one was not. So you can see the jump.
Well, I mean, let's be honest. A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. They're just
Yeah,
take any European fantasy story and put it in space. That's all
that's
it
it.
is.
Yeah,
You've got the Dark
but it
Knight,
had
the evil wizard, and the young farm boy, and the good guy wizard that's going to teach the young farm boy, and you've got the rogue that's going to, do rogue shit and end up with the princess because, that's how it goes in storybook stuff, you know?
things like the death of Obi-Wan Kenobi was her idea. Instead of escaping with the crew, he would die there.
Huh.
So that was her idea, for example.
Huh.
So basically, she added things that made things cooler.
Well, good for her. It's too bad he got rid of her or she passed away or whatever happened to her.
I think that she just divorced and took her own way.
Well, I mean, it's not like she needed the money, right? She had the money, so I mean, she could do
Yeah,
whatever she
well,
wanted, really.
yeah, really.
So, but that's something I didn't know, Jose. You
Mhm.
teach me things all the time. Yeah,
Really?
I didn't know that his
Oh, thank
wife
you.
was heavily involved in the original.
Yeah, she was editing. She was an editor,
Yeah,
and
I didn't know that.
basically, yeah, she was an editor, and basically for episode four, uh, the original cut was very boring. So basically, Lucas fired the editor that he had, and brought his wife, and then she needed help, so they brought some other guys, and they were awarded with some award or
Now,
something like
I
that.
have heard that
So
it was the editing that saved the
yeah.
movie,
That's it.
but
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah, and
know that it
Marcia
was
was
his
part of
wife
that.
that had actually done it.
Yeah, but actually there were some ideas. The most exciting, coolest ideas that decided plot twists. I remember the death of Obi-Wan Kenobi was one of them, but there were some other twists that were her idea,
Well, the death of Obi
and basically it
Kenobi,
changed.
how he just basically gave up, but not really, but
Yeah,
sort
so
of, you know? That was like a
yeah,
whole thing. And then Luke freaks the fuck out, and, you know, he's like,
yeah,
no. And then Princess
yeah.
Leia
So it
says, you know,
was,
they let us go, right?
yeah,
Like, you know, and she was right.
yeah. And there, some fans made the scene of the fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. They remade it. Did you watch that video? It's cool, man. It's really cool.
Yeah, well,
Let
I
me
mean,
see if
that
I
was
can
kind
find it.
of back before they had the ability to really, you know, I mean, what's his name? Proust could barely move in the suit. So, you
Yeah,
know, it was like, you're not going to get a lot here, guys. Just be cool with it. And I was, you know, I was like, yeah, I get it. You know, he's a guy. He's wearing a bunch of freaking armor, and you know, he's doing his thing. I'm there with it. You know, is that the? I'll have to watch that later. I think I've
I
seen.
posted the
I think
link.
I've seen it.
Uh, Okay, yeah. So basically, I posted it, so you can keep the link. It's right there,
Nice.
and
A couple
you
years
can watch
back,
it.
I don't know if you remember, but there was like a couple of years back, there was this group of young people, and they were making like tons of like Star Wars type content where you would have like Sith and Jedi guys like fighting. And man, it was really good. Like there was like a Korean guy and just a whole group of guys. They were all together. And that was just kind of their thing, you know? And they would post them back on the old internet, you know, when like way back on YouTube when you could get away with shit like that. And honestly, those guys should have made the new Star Wars movies. They would have done a better job. But they would make these badass like lightsaber duels between the Sith guy and the Jedi, like in like playgrounds and all over the place. And they'd just be leaping around and they'd have the blade, you know, because they were literally training to do these things, you know, and they were kicking ass. It was good times back then, man. Good times.
Well, right now there are some good fan-made movies. I can tell you.
Well, I mean, we've already talked about the one anime, which was really good. The animated TIE Fighter movie show. Have you seen that one?
Yes, I saw
Yeah,
that,
bunch of TIE
and
fighters.
yeah, and there is one about wingmen. It is
Yeah,
X-wing people. It is like more than half an hour of a mission, and with special effects that will remind you when you were piloting either TIE Fighter or X-wing game. You're going to love it.
awesome. I like the TIE
There is
Fighters one
also,
because when I played the Star Trek miniature game, the
yeah,
the one with the spaceships, I always played the TIE Fighters. And my favorite character to play was Baron, was it Singar? He had a TIE Interceptor that had a red speed stripe on the side of it.
yeah. There is also another short movie called After Ender that describes the life of a stormtrooper that fought on
Oh,
Ender.
yeah. With those cannibalistic
Yeah,
little bastards.
yeah, but it is very interesting the way in which they portray. I will not tell you anything to not spoil the
Okay.
story. I just posted the links there in the private chat.
Yeah, I see them. Cool. Jose giving me my homework over here. Well, do you remember the spoof that somebody made, and it was like based on cops, but it was troopers? Did you ever see that one? It's like, bad boys,
No, I
what
don't
you
remember.
gonna do? But instead of LAPD or whatever, it was like freaking stormtroopers on Tatooine. It shows them like,
No, I don't remember.
arguing with a Jawa, like, yeah, sure, this droid is yours, and shit like that. And then it turned out like the whole when Aunt Beru and Uncle whatever got killed, it was because the troopers had been caught on a domestic call, and they're like, "Oh, these are the worst calls."
Oh,
And they
I
show
remember
up
that,
and
yeah.
like freaking Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen like kill themselves. and the troopers like, whoa, what the fuck? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah,
comedy.
it's like
Yes.
the whole thing is just depicting the troopers as cops, just on
As
Tatooine
cops.
doing a job, you know? And
Yeah.
it
Oh, yeah, I
it
remember
was
that.
so fun.
It's very old. Yeah, it's very old.
That
That
one was
video is very,
way
very
old.
old.
That was on like In World and with Weeble and Bob and all that shit, like back in the 90s. But it was good. It was a good one. And of course, Hungar used to send me Star Wars rap songs all the time.
Okay.
Because there's somebody out there that used to make Star Wars kind of joke comedy raps, and then they put them to like an animated movie. So you'd have like it'd be like, I'm Yoda, I'm a soldier, and all this kind of shit. and Hungar would be like, check this shit out. And then there's the new one. I don't know if you heard it or saw it, where it's like Yoda singing about the birds kicking him on the head.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a bad lip reading or something, and it's like,
oh yeah,
everybody told me not to
By the
go
way-
to that beach.
By the way, did you know that I made the subtitles for one Star Wars fan project?
I did not know that.
You didn't know. Okay, it is called Pink 5. Let me bring you the link. Pink 5. Yeah. Do you remember that Luke was Red 5? Okay, well, she is Pink 5. And if you watch, those are 5 short episodes. The first one seems like the pilot, they just wanted to joke and all this, but it looks like suddenly they wanted to write a better story, and you end up seeing how she saves the galaxy. Um, there is only the first episode in YouTube. For the rest, you need either to click the link that appears at the end of the video, or in the description appears the next episode. So basically, it is like 5 episodes, but you start with the first one. So, I posted in the private chat the link to the first episode too.
Okay.
So that you have homework.
And you did the
And I did the subtitles in Spanish.
nice.
Yeah.
You know what's kind of hilarious?
Yeah.
Even though it's not Costa Rican, but it's South American. The car commercial that was released in Brazil,
Mhm.
and it had all of the D&D characters from the cartoon,
Hmm.
and they all jump into like the Subaru and haul ass to get away from Tiamat.
Huh.
And they had all the actors, and the actors look just like the kids from the cartoon.
Wow.
And
I think that I will.
like, I saw that, and I was just like, if they can do that, then why can't they make a decent D&D movie? I don't know, but yeah,
Okay, I have.
a Subaru commercial, but
I will have to look for that.
But still, it was really good. It was like a Brazilian car commercial, but done up like D&D.
Okay.
And yeah.
Okay, if you find it, send me the link in the private chat and some next session or something like that.
Let me see here. Let's see. Look, I typed in BR and it's the first link that popped up for me. So obviously I've watched it before.
Okay. So if you watched already, you already did, so no need to watch it again. I posted several links. One to the movie about the where you have Darth Maul as apprentice. There is another after Endor. In Endor, there is the one about X-wing. Oh, this is the one. Okay. Wow. Wow. What is the name of that video?
It is Brazilian D&D car commercial.
Hora de voltar pra casa, crianças.
Nunca escaparão.
Beto, faz alguma coisa!
Deixe o impossível para trás.
Peraí, cadê o Uni?
Novo Renault Kwid Outsider, o SUV dos compactos.
Oh, there was Venger looking at him.
Amazing.
Yeah, and that was just a car commercial that some company in Brazil made to try and sell whatever that car was. And it's like, and yet they can't make a decent movie that's, you know, because that commercial to me is memorable because it's actually pretty old, and yet I still remember it. I still watch it occasionally, right? But half of the movies and TV shows that are actually on TV are so not really memorable. It's like,
yeah, this is when money and talent do not work together.
You know, but I didn't understand anything they're saying because it's Brazilian or Portuguese or whatever.
Yeah, but I don't think that it will
but
require.
I didn't need to understand it.
Yeah.
To get into it, it was like, you know, there's a big dragon.
Yeah.
And there's an evil wizard, and then you know some other stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's all good, you know. But yeah, it's a damn shame that a Portuguese car company does more honor to the creator of D&D than the people who currently own the IP to D&D.
That's correct.
You know, it's like somebody needs to tell Wizard of the Coast, hey, have you ever seen this commercial? Maybe adopt some of these vibes, you know? Like these guys, they're making the thing. They're obviously having a good time, you know. Like, it's whimsical, it's funny, it's exciting. You know, there's a dragon and all kinds of good, cool shit is going on. Plus, you got the kids, but they're more grown up. I mean, just all in all, just really well done. But yet, like I
Well,
posted that thing the other day, which was a positive video.
well, what I can tell you is that with Pink 5, the first episode is not so memorable. But once you watch the 5 episodes, they are short episodes,
Mhm.
you're going to realize that without Pink 5, Han, Solo, and Luke would have failed to destroy the Death Star and save the universe. you're going to enjoy it because the plot was made in a way in which you can see her behind everything that happens.
Really?
You can even see her interacting with the emperor. Okay. So
Yeah,
it's
I need to
interesting.
when I log off of this and go lay down, I'll
Yeah.
watch it on the big screen
Okay, Pink 5,
because
episode 1.
I watch a lot of my YouTube videos on my Roku TV.
Okay.
But yeah, my video yesterday was actually positive instead of negative. It was basically because everybody's always talking about Wizard of the Coast is dead, D&D is dead.
I
And I'm
watched that
like,
video.
D&D will never die.
No.
Wizards of the Coast might die.
Yeah.
But D&D will go on forever because there's too many other great games out there. You posted to it. You said that's why you went with
Yeah.
D&D.
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's how I really believe. I think a lot of these people, I mean, one, I know it's good for views. If you're really trying to get views, you want to make things as like dramatic as possible. You know, post shit like Wizard of the Coast, are they dying? You know, and shit like that. And then people are going to click through your video. But I don't really like doing that much. Occasionally I'll do a clickbaity thing, but it's not my jam, you know. Like people get after Professor Dungeon Master for doing it.
Yeah.
But you know what? Whatever. You know?
You know what? I remember that you were going to make a video about MechWarrior Destiny.
Yes. But the problem is the one you made was probably better than the one I would make.
No, I don't think so.
Well,
I don't think so. It
I
is
wish
true that I
deleted my old videos.
Yeah, but I think that you had an important contribution to, because I remember that I watched yours quite a bit of times, quite a number of times, and basically, well, I took some ideas, but the rest basically I developed. But there are many ways in which you can approach that review. So,
Well,
and
I
you have a
mean,
particular one because you know about the role-playing universe, not
one of
only
the
about
things
Yeah.
was because I was talking to Max Lau, who I haven't talked to in forever. I wonder what
Yeah.
that guy's been up to. And he was saying every time he ever tried to run Mech Warrior, it always just turned into BattleTech with extra steps. And I was talking about Destiny, and I was saying, but it don't have to be that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and then
That's the beginning.
I had written a campaign called Black Gold.
Okay, that's the beginning of the review.
Right. It was the campaign
Well-
about Black Gold. The group was after the Black Gold, which was supposed to be a hidden Star League era cache of weapons. But
Okay,
actually, it turned out to be a Star League era thug mech
Do you-
called Black Gold. That
Do
was
you
the
see-
name of the mech, and it was still inside of an old Star League bunker, but
That's-
no one knew where it was.
yeah, that's the beginning of the review. You're bringing this now. Bring it in a review, man.
Yeah,
I know that you have a lot to say, and I bet that you could make a review that lasts 1 hour or so because you have so much to say.
Well, the thing was with that one is I was just trying to prove, yeah, did
Yeah.
the mercenary company looking for the black gold get into mech battles? They did, but they got
Okay.
into bar fights too, and they
Okay.
also went to certain locations and did investigations and talked to old men about, hey, do you remember anything? And had to track down the specific planet, and then go there and then find the thing. But the whole time they were doing that, there was another mercenary group that was telling them because they wanted it too. You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I
And
know.
then in the end, they had the big final battle, and the group ended up winning. And actually, one of the group players got their mech shut out from under them. But then while the battle was going on, they used their tech skills to get the black gold up and running.
Exactly. Now you have the start of the review. Start
So
from there
basically
and
just
develop the review. Don't
explain
spoil it here.
how you run Destiny and how it doesn't always have to be. Okay, I could do that. That's not hard. That's not hard.
You
I
see,
think a lot of
you
people
had
just
a lot.
don't understand how big the Biotech world is
That's it.
and
Explain
how
them that.
much stuff can be going on at any given time.
Yeah, exactly. Now you have. Do you see how much material do you have that is not what I posted in that review?
Yeah, I
You
get it now. I
realize?
see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But yeah, that video was made specifically for me showing off
Yeah.
to Max that no, if you ran BattleTech, every game didn't have to be a mech battle.
Yeah. Well,
Because that's what he was saying. He's like, every time I've ran Mech Warrior 2,
Mhm.
second edition, it's just, and it's like, but it don't gotta be. You just gotta give them reasons, story-wise, to not be in the mech. I mean, you can't drive your Griffin into the local antique store hunting for a map. You know what I mean? Of some system that fell off the freaking star charts 100 years ago.
Look at something very interesting.
You got to walk in there and talk to somebody.
Look at something very interesting about the audience, about the views of the channel. For example, we have this MechWarrior Destiny 4 days ago, and it has 104 reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And the previous video about what to buy as a newcomer to BattleTech posted 11 days ago, and it has 151 views. It means that Destiny has some audience.
Well,
Also,
I think you're right, because I think there's a lot of people out there who
yeah,
bought Destiny
yeah,
and they're still not quite 100% sure what they have.
yeah. And look at this
And
Alpha Strike
need
video.
people to be like, look,
Yeah,
this is the stuff you can do.
yeah. For example, Alpha Strike 3 years ago, and it has about 800 views. And MechWarrior Destiny sneak peek 3 years ago, and it has 1,600 views. So it is
So you
double.
are right. There's definitely an audience.
There is an audience for that. So I encourage you to make that video and to make it, like, I don't know, as long as you want, because you have a lot of things to tell us, and I would be glad to watch that video.
I'll have to remake that one. You're right.
Yeah.
That said, I think it's time for me
No.
to head to bed. It's night.
Okay.
But I'm definitely taking what you said to heart,
Mhm.
and I'll look at the videos, and I
Mhm.
will catch you next time.
Okay. See ya then.
See
Nice
you
to
later,
talk to
bud.
you.
Yep.